Okay, testing, testing. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Okay, here's a fantastic little recipe about lamb. This is filling a rack of lamb with a sausage meat with peas and mint. And we're gonna serve this with a basil pesto that's hand chopped. Stick around, this will be a good one. Okay, we're gonna start by butchering this piece of lamb. So that's a rack of lamb. It's got the bones in there, belly sits that way, half a rack of lamb. What I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna take the bark off, which is this sort of skin on the outside. Just want to get the knife underneath it, and you can sort of peel that away. It goes quite brittle. I don't actually mind it when I leave it on quite a lot, but it can be a bit chewy, and because we're going to cook this in a slightly different way, I think it's quite important to get it off. If it doesn't just peel by hand, you can take it off like by sort of cutting very thin slices of it away. And I guess you're also trimming that fat back as well at the same time, so it's kind of useful. This lamb is from Ethical Butcher, which is a fantastic butcher that we use. They also do home delivery, so if you're into a nice lamb box at home, Ethical Butcher, rate them really highly. Great suppliers of mine, and they didn't send me this for free. I'm just telling you because it's a nice thing to know. And we are going to basically butcher this lamb in a slightly different fashion than you've probably seen before. We're going to stuff it, and then we're going to roast it. But we're also going to do another piece of lamb at the same time. So you're getting two different bits of lamb cooked in the same way. Lamb's so versatile and absolutely bang on season. So let's get rid of that bark. We don't want that. We're going to basically take the rack really quite close to the meat, but still leave the bones on. You do need to either get the butcher to do this for you or get yourself a bone saw, but it's straight through. Right. So I'm just going to trim that back. Again, there's a reason to this madness. That goes away. Right, this is going in the bottom of the pan. A little bit of olive oil in this beautiful pan. A little bit of salt in the bottom. Thank you, Hestan. We love these pans very much. That goes in there, and that's going to render gently. So don't get too heavy on the heat. Keep that heat on a low to medium, and let's let that crisp up and let that fat render and crisp right out. Now we're left with this, which is, but it's essentially a loin of lamb with all the bones on. It's had the shoulder blade removed. I'm just going to trim out all that stuff there. Now what we're going to do is lift up this piece of fat here, and we've made a lovely farce, or a force meat more appropriately, using lamb mince and crushed English peas and loads of mint. All the things that are really lovely with lamb. I'm just going to use a card just to pull that down a bit. That will find its own way once it's in the oven there. So that's nice and easy. Fold that back over. Turn that right down. So all we need to do now is tie that up. Just trying to keep that farce in there nice and tight. I'm just going to go each side like this, and we're going to make the knot underneath. And the reason for that is to make sure I get a nice even colouring on the fat end of it. That's really important. I do like tying meat. It's quite cathartic, relaxing. Doesn't need fancy knots. That's looking good in there, you see. Really nice. That's now going to go in, that lamb. That's going to keep going. It's just a cool bit of butchery. That just looks magnificent, no? And it's that gentle cookery we were looking for here. We were looking for the render, the gentle cookery. We don't want aggression and big heavy frying going on. This is at a nice heat. And that's what we're looking for. We're in control here. The lamb's not running out of control. It's not running away a million miles an hour. We love what's going on. And that lovely little bone structure there, we've got that to protect us if it gets too dark. That's kind of as dark as I'd want that at the moment. That's been rendered. We're going to leave that like that, mount that on there. So it's almost acting like a press. It's also protecting that lamb from underneath as well. It's going in the oven. Beautiful. So to pair with my lamb, we're going to make some really lovely pesto. Cut by hand, not in a machine. Keep it nice and unbruised. We've got nice fresh basil leaves, we've got raw garlic, we've got a nice aged parmesan going to give us depth of flavour, toasted pine nuts, and this here is a secret weapon. That's basil oil. This is going to make the whole thing amazing. Cut the whole thing by hand, and that's the perfect accompaniment for spring lamb. Okay, so pesto is something that everyone's sort of familiar with. You can buy great pesto now, but I think every now and then, buy the ingredients and make pesto. You will realise how much better pesto is if it's made by you. Knowing exactly what's in it, no emulsifiers, no stabilizers, just great fresh ingredients, and understanding what those ingredients do when they're added to pesto. Now, the key to this is really good quality product, like every other thing. First thing to do, nice fresh basil, pick off the big stems, get rid of those, use them for something else. You want nice fresh basil leaves. Let's start by chopping the basil leaves. Nice sharp knife, choosing a big knife as well here. Look, I could chuck this in a Thermomix, I could chuck it in a Maggi mix, I'd get a pesto very quickly. And we do, I do, it happens. But every now and then I like to make pesto by hand. It's not as long as you expect it to take, and it is definitely much more delicious. You've got texture, you've got flavour in there, and you're not bruising and smashing the basil. The key here at this point is to slice through the basil as if you're sort of cutting carrots or something. Don't be doing this right now. You will do that later on, but at this stage you just want to almost chop it like you're chopping through potatoes or carrots or something. All I'm trying to do is get it to about halfway cut, and then we're going to step in with the other ingredients, and then we're going to bring it all together. So there is enough for now. Use a card so I can keep nice and clean and organised on the board. Give myself a bit more space. Then we're going to go with the garlic. I'm just going to chop the garlic quickly now. In fact, I might as well just smash it like that. There we go. And we can start to really smash the garlic up. There is a reason why I don't just put everything on the board and run a knife through it. You want everything to have its own texture and get broken down individually first of all. It's quite important. I'm not pulverising this garlic either. So that's good. That can go over into our pile now. That's looking good. Then we've got our pine nuts. These have got a lot of oil in them because we've toasted them. And I think it makes a real difference if you toast the pine nuts beforehand. That oil that's with them is really toasty and it's got depth of flavour. We don't want the pine nuts again to be like a puree. You could sort of puree these out, but you end up with this peanut butter thing. I don't want that. So they can go in now at the texture they are. Then we've got our parmesan. So we need lots and lots of parmesan that is depth of flavour. It's adding acidity, it's adding umami, it's adding creaminess. God, I mean, just what doesn't parmesan do? One of the greatest cheeses of all time. Right, now we're ready to bring everything back into the playground and start the process of hand chopping this pesto. So now, slide the knife. We just want to bring everything together. There'll be a point at which all of this can be cut with a single chopping motion. But that's not just yet. It will give in, it will give up the ghost in a minute and be soft and pliable and easy. And not until that point am I going to add any oil. I just want to really get this pounded down to a place where it's not all going to fly everywhere when I start wheeling a knife into it. That's what we want. That's what we're trying to do. Tame the basil. Right, that's good. Now, you could add really good olive oil at this point, but I'm adding basil oil. We make a basil oil by blending fresh basil with neutral oil and a little olive oil. And this is what makes the basil pesto super green and delicious. Also a sharp knife, that helps. And then folding back in. That's all right, that will take all that oil. Now, nice salt. Not too early on the salt because it will, when you're cutting the garlic and the basil in the beginning, it will really bruise the basil and the garlic, and I don't want to do that. The right amount of oil in there is where it just can't quite hold on to it. It just wants to bleed out. And you know, if you were to just cook yourself some pasta, nice bit of hand cut pasta, bit of hand extruded pasta, bit of penne pasta, whatever it is, dump in a huge handful of this. That's a fantastic dinner right there. Right. That's it. That is hand-cut pesto. I'm going to put that in a pot, put it in a jar, I'm going to put that in the fridge, sit there happily for a month, no problem. And it also stay bright green, which is really nice. But I reckon this pesto here is the perfect accompaniment to our rack of lamb. Yum. Okay, let's just test this lamb. So I'm pretty sure that lamb's not cooked, but I want to get it out now, see where we are, give it a little, kind of give it a little bit of love, use some of that rendering lamb fat that's come out. Look how much fat has come out of that. Put it back over the top. Now we need to be testing this at this point, right? Just making sure that the lamb's not overcooking, seeing where we are. Luckily for me, I've got these very, very beautiful cake testers. That's what you use to test the cake with. What you need to do, it's very fine, so it's not going to make a huge mess. You want to pop that into the center of the meat. And bearing in mind, if you go all the way to the end, you're going to the bottom of the meat, and then the end of that cake tester is testing the hot end. You want to make sure the middle of that, the end of that cake test is in the middle of the meat. That's what's really important. Give it 20 seconds in there, just let it absorb and get up to the temperature that's actually going on in the middle of that. Now, you can use your hand here, quite sensitive, or your lip. I use my lip. What you're looking for is that meat to be pretty much the same temperature as you and a little bit more. For lamb, it's kind of taking out about 40 degrees, taking out, resting to about 45 with a standover cooking time, and then you're looking at a lovely appoint, lovely pink rosé lamb. We don't want lamb rare, we don't want lamb jellified, we want lamb perfectly cooked. And actually the secret to that is in the resting. So when I test that lamb now, I'm just going into the center, giving it 20 seconds, pulling it out on my lip, That is still a little bit cool for me. It needs another 6 or 7 minutes in the oven. But it's feel, it's understanding. No point doing this whole testing of squeezing with your fingers because it's strung. So you're getting a false reading. That stringing is giving you a false reading. That's not telling you anything. If that meat's got no string on it, I could tell you where it's cooked. But with a string on it, it's definitely giving a false reading. So let's get that lamb back in the oven for about another 6 minutes. Okay, there's that fantastic lamb. What's really important is that lamb rests, and I can't state this enough. Probably had about 18, 19 minutes in the oven. I've given it another 20 minutes outside, and it seems crazy. You think it's going to be cold in the middle. It's absolutely not. It's going to be at the perfect temperature. Must rest that lamb. Now, lamb comes out like that. We've got that nice cut of lamb that sits nice and straight with the bones there. We've also got this. Look at that. Wow. That is a thing of beauty. Nice and crispy. Nice and golden, pretty happy with that. Smug? No, I am a little bit. Right, now what we're going to do, something quite interesting. We're going to look at all that fat that's come out of there. That's coming out. What I am interested in is what's left, which is all that sediment in the bottom there. I'm interested in that. That's amazing. We're going to take that, and we're going to take our really vibrant hand-chopped pesto. That's going in the pan. That's getting a good mix round. So you imagine that hand-chopped pesto with a little bit of lamb fat in there and all that lamb sediment, plus all the lovely extra seasoning bits in there. That's got to be delicious, right? So that's ready for our plating. Now we just need to carve this lamb. First of all, the belly. Nice sharp knife, nice long knife, and I'm not chopping down, I'm carving through, and that's really important. Like that, all right? If you wanted to make this really posh, what you would do, you would carve like that, you would cut the sides off, make it really sharp. This is what restaurants do to make things look really sharp, but I'm not trying to teach you that at home, but I think it's really just nice to have the bits like that, just straight through like that. Then you get, that's how you get that really lovely piece like so. And that will eat so deliciously. It's just been rendered properly and it's just utterly delicious. Right, so we've got our pieces of lamb like so. There's our belly, and then it's on to the loin. I'm going to leave the string on for the moment. I'm going to cut that first piece away, turn it over, and we can see the gap in the lamb between the bones, and we can go straight through. As we go straight through, and we're looking for a really lovely cuisson on that lamb. And we'll take the string off afterwards. That's really nice. Happy with that. Love that. Love the texture of it. Love the little bit of lamb sausage meat in there in the middle, giving us another kind of flavour, making this more than the sum of its parts, and that's really lovely. Very happy with that. All right, let's get that on the plate. That's just a huge flavour bomb of pesto there. Take string off. That lamb is just wallowing in that glorious pesto. And then we're going to add these lovely pieces of belly there as well. That's it. Never going to happen. All right, boys, let's try. Let's try. Okay, so what's interesting here is this is that lamb that we've tried to make there with a vibrant pesto. Super nice for spring lamb now. We've ended up with a fantastic, crispy, rendered ribs as well, which is lovely. I just think that is an amazing plate of food. But what's important here is that's how I would serve that at home. That's kind of family sharing. This might end up a bit upstairs style food, but then we've also managed to convert that potentially into a dish for Trinity as well with Harry. So it's kind of, this is a bit like how our life works. We try something, we love it, we integrate it somewhere else. What do you reckon, lads?
Very cool.
Pretty sharp.
Different.
Liking it? You want to try it, Jamie?
Oui.
Have a go. Let's have a go at this one here.